have the board of directors, led by our vice chair, and we have our executive director of the National Construction Authority. Just to let you know, my name is Paul Gesora, and I wish to reiterate the theme of this conference, which is leveraging the potential of MSMEs and technology for resilient and sustainable construction industry. Madam CS, before we go very far, I also like to let you know that we have sub-themes for this conference. The first sub-theme is MSMEs as a pillar of development. Number 2, smart contracting for sustainable construction industry. Number 3, resilient infrastructure, looking at adopting construction to climate change. Number 4, artificial intelligence and automation in construction industry. And number 5, embracing diversity and inclusion in construction. But before we get down to the business, we want to have a small break. At the break, we have some entertainment from our dancers. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome our dancers to come and give us that short break before we can proceed with our program. Those are our traditional dancers. Wapigie makofi. Asante sana. Madam CS, I'd like to let you know also that in our presence, we have officials from the county, County Commissioner, Senator Crystal Lasige, Deputy Governor of Mombasa County. They're in our presence, all protocols observed. This particular official opening session shall have remarks from our Executive Director, who will recognize the CEOs present and presidents of professional associations, and then in turn invite the chair, vice chair of the Board of Directors, who will speak shortly, introducing the Board of Directors of NCA, the vice chair to welcome our PS Public Works. We'll also give a chance to the county commissioner, the senator of this particular county, and the deputy governor to greet the plenary. And thereafter, we'll have a presentation by the PS MSMEs. She's in our presence. After which we shall have the gracing speech by our cabinet secretary. After which we shall proceed on a guided tour of the exhibitions for the chief guests and delegates, which shall be conducted or led by the chair lady of this particular function, Wangoi Kabala. So without further ado, let me welcome the General Manager, Construction Research, Business Development and Capacity Building, Dr. Ndinyo, to come and welcome the Executive Director. Pigia makofi.
Thank you very much, Paul. Madam CS, I want to stand with the protocol that is already established. And because we're here in Mombasa, there are people called Wahenga. And these Wahengas, they said that hakuna haja ya kuandika na mate ili hali wino upo. And so standing on that, I want to welcome the Executive Director. I think he's the winner to pick up from here and proceed with the program. Executive Director, please welcome.
To our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, accompanied by the Principal Secretary, the State Department of Public Works, and also we are aware the Principal Secretary for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise is also joining us. The Senator, Madam Honorable Asigi, the DG, Deputy Governor for Mombasa, Honorable Francis, who is here in his capacity as the leader for the host county, elected leaders present with us here, the Vice Chair of the Board of National Construction Authority, Madam Mercy Okiro, board members of NCA present, board members of other parastatals present. I can see one of the board members, Chair of the Board, Honorable Chanzu of National Housing Corporation, together with all other board members, my colleagues, CEOs from government agencies, senior government officials present here, presidents of associations. Madam Waziri, you know, because I'm also a professional, if I don't recognize them, they might struck me off the register unfairly. Also, of course, together with the delegates who have attended in a very good number. Delegates here represent professionals in the construction sector, members from the academia. I also want to recognize we have students with us here. We have contractors. In fact, everyone is here in the entire value chain, including manufacturers. Members of the Fourth Estate, and of course, from the media team, as well as my colleagues from National Construction Authority, who has worked to make this possible. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Madam Waziri, my role will be very, very brief. Mine will be to just make very brief remarks. Then thereafter, invite the Vice Chair who will elaborate on this, because this is a function of the board of NCA. And as the Secretary of the board, Engineer Maurice Akech, standing here, I would not want to take that away from them. Otherwise, you know what the board does. When you take away from them as a CEO, the following day you may not have a job. So I'm trying to protect my job also. So I would want to thank all of you, led by our chief guest, for gracing this National Construction Authority's premier event that is in its 5th year of occurrence. We have had this conference since 2015, and every 2 years we have this kind of event. It has been getting better and better, and we are also happy that in diversity that is part of the themes here, our chief guest is none other than one from the female gender. Madam Waziri, all our chief guests have always been looking like me in terms of face and appearance, but for the first time, I think we have achieved. On the 5th one, we are having a chief guest who is our none other than the Minister, Honorable Alice Wahome. Without saying much, as you are aware, our role, which we exist for as per the act that creates us or created the NCA, is to regulate, facilitate, and build capacity in the construction industry through strategic interventions and partnerships for sustainable socio-economic development. Madam Waziri, I want to report to you that it's through partnership and strategic interventions that the board has undertaken that has made all these people you see here today represented. I'm also happy that in our midst, we have both government, that's public, as well as private sector across board. And as you've heard from our Master of Ceremony, we have also the elected leaders here. So we know the role politics plays in supporting construction, and we cannot leave the leadership, the politicians or political class out of this when we have such an event. Madam Waziri, I also want to indicate that we were very mean at the beginning when we started. The first 3 events were done in Nairobi County, which is the capital city of Kenya. But we saw it fit that there is need to also have diversity, not just by people or inclusivity, but also going region by region. So the 4th one was done in Nakuru County in 2022. And this 5th one is being done in Mombasa. And we are happy to have the county represented here by the DG and team. And I want to indicate that now that we're doing it in Mombasa County, we also have a theme that is very relevant to the county where we are, that is blue economy. And in that theme, you'll be able to be told, how does construction support blue economy? You know, the waters you see can only be a feature or admirable if there is no structure or infrastructure to support the landing either of the ships or the people that go into the waters, whether they are seawalls or jetties or ports or any other infrastructure that supports economy at the sea or the waters, then they will not have that economy thrive, because you cannot jump into the water. You have to get means of access that are safe and of good quality. Of course, we also know the construction industry supports a great deal the micro, small, and medium enterprise economy, and that's why one of the themes there is discussing the same. Our chief guest, why this conference? We have, among the 14 functions that we have as National Construction Authority under the Act, a mandate to conduct research and disseminate its findings. We are also very keen to do this research, not in our own because we are not experts, but in partnership with the technocrats in the research, which is the academia and the industry. Through that collaboration, we have conducted a lot of researches that there is need from time to time to gather in a conference like this and bring to you the findings for onboarding. Our research is only good if it's going to impact the economy, having looked at the recommendations and innovated and incubated them to ensure that they're implementable. It is through this research that we also able to advise the industry on matters construction. I don't need to belabor so much on this. The theme is already there, which is leveraging the potential of micro, small, and medium enterprises and technology for resilient and sustainable construction industry, with many sub-themes, including smart contracting for sustainable construction. Madam Waziri, in the morning, we were given very interesting presentations here on smart contracting, but we were assured that if you are not knowledgeable, then smart contracting cannot help you. So you must first of all have background knowledge to be able to apply smart contracting. Smart contracting means the use of technology to be able to undertake contracts. And because Waziri, I know you are in the legal profession, we are also told that this is not to kill opportunity for lawyers to draft contracts for projects or any other activity, but to enhance efficiency of doing it better and faster. And of course, there's a challenge posed there and opportunity. Are lawyers getting ready to be in the space of smart contracting? So is artificial intelligence going to replace us? No. We have to adapt, because I like using this example. When I was born, I found farming mostly being done using hoes or jembes. Of course, within the same time, they're using ox plows, then graduated to tractors. But now I'm told there are robots or robotics that are doing farming. The question is, are human beings being replaced? The answer is no, because robotics also have to be manufactured by human beings. So human beings must adapt to the changes in technology to be able to remain relevant and support that space. So even in construction, as we talk about AI, we appreciate that it's going to help end up with what we call efficient and eliminate delays, as well as minimize on disputes. Of course, the dispute resolution experts, again, you not lose your job, you just need to transit to that space of artificial intelligence. We also have issues of building code that are planned for this particular conference. This particular one will be done tomorrow. Madam Waziri, we want to also appreciate that as a chief guest, you helped deliver this baby of the building code that has been elusive for several years. This building code, National Building Code 2024, is replacing the one of 1968. Madam Waziri, when I look around, when I mentioned that year, very few of us existed then. So it means they were born, they found something to work with, but over time it has become obsolete. So that discussion will be happening tomorrow. And of course, construction also has diversity and inclusivity. And I'm happy that on board also we have a presenter, none other than Senator Asigi, who will also be representing that space, among many others. Mine, as I wind up, is to really, really thank all of you for finding time. And in partnership with other regulators, I want to confirm that the Engineers Board of Kenya has approved for the engineers sitting in this conference, you will be getting 12 professional development points, PDUs. You can clap. And in the morning, one of the presenters asked, by a show of hands, how many engineers are in the room? Now I'm a bit selfish here. How many engineers are in the room? Yeah, the form majority. So after this, please present your certificates that will give you. We have the EBK registrar here, Engineers Board of Kenya, and she's here to witness. So as you take that certificate, please make sure you also greet her before the conference ends the next 3 days. We also have the board of Borax, the board of registration of architects and quantity surveyors, who also has approved for architects and QSs here in attendance to be able to get 10 CPD points. Can I see architects and QSs in the room? Very good. So please, I think my colleague registrar as well as the CEO of Borax are also meant to be here. And please, if you see them, also make sure you greet them so that they confirm you are here. Then for contractors, you know I'm your registrar. You have 10 CPD points free of charge. Hiyo utapata bila pingamizi. Do you have any contractors in the room? You know contractors fear research. Weka mkono chini. I think next time we may need to redefine the name. You know, research is not a difficult thing. You know, when contractors here, we're going for a research conference. Hey, hiyo sio yetu. Kazi yetu ni kujenga tu. Please, you cannot build without proper research, because this is where you'll know new technologies, new materials, new way of doing things, and we're talking about smart contracting. If you continue doing the same things using the old way of doing it, my friend, the profits will continue diminishing. In fact, you may not get work in future as things go. So please, contractors, I encourage you to be attending these conferences. I know some of them are also watching from wherever they are, because we are also beaming this online, courtesy of our media team. And of course, to all the delegates that are here, you'll also benefit from knowledge, not just the points. So you are all, in a way, beneficiaries of this. Madam Waziri, with those few remarks, I really want to thank you most sincerely for finding time to come and grace this occasion. This team has been sitting here since morning, but when we told them our chief guest is here, they said they can hold their break for a few moments to ensure that they listen to this session, what you have in store for them. So they'll be eager and waiting to get to hear from you. Of course, flanked by our PS, State Department of Public Works, Mr. Joel Arumonyang, so that we can be able to end. With those few remarks, it's now my duty and pleasure to invite none other than the Vice Chair of the National Construction Authority, Advocate Madam Mercy Okiro, to come and make her remarks. And she may decide, given time, to also introduce our board members as well, and also maybe other colleague board members in the room before you can invite the PS Public Works. Karibu sana, madam.
Our Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Alice Wahome, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Public Works, Honorable Joel Arumonyang, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Micro MSMEs, Honorable Susan Mangeli, the governor, the deputy governor of Mombasa, His Excellency Honorable Francis Thoya, Senator Crystal Asige, NCA board members, chairpersons and board members from other organizations, the executive director, our partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good afternoon, actually. With your permission, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, I will request that before I read my speech will be more of a read speech because the Executive Director has set the stage properly as regards the contents of this conference. Before I do that, with your permission, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, allow me to introduce the board of the National Construction Authority. They will not be speaking, I'll speak on their behalf, but I will of course introduce them by name. And having said that, just stand and wave board members. I will start with a representative from the Kenya Federation of Master Builders, Kennedy Sagini. We have a representative from Raseka, that is Engineer Musango. We have a representative from Kabsek, that is again another engineer, Kalpesh Hirani. We have a representative from the Architectural Association of Kenya, Architect Waweru Gadesha. We also have a representative from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Catherine Munyi. We have two members who represent special interests on the board of the National Construction Authority. The first one is Senator, Engineer again, Godana Hargura. We also have our second member representing special interests on our board, that is Architect Nicholas Tirop. We have alternates to various principal secretaries and a cabinet secretary. So we have an alternate representing the principal secretary roads. That is another engineer, Gilbert Arasa. We have the alternate to the cabinet secretary for treasury and national planning. That is CFA Paul Kiagu. He's within, I think he stepped out. We have, of course, our PS representative for housing, representing Honorable Charles Hinga. We have QS Cassius Kusienya. He's within, I suppose he's also stepped out. Last but not least, we have a substantive public works alternate, representing Honorable PS Joel Arumonyang on the board, that is QS Rose Kotut. Thank you, board members. Also, I would like to recognize the presence of the chairman of the National Housing Corporation. We have Honorable Yusuf Chanzu. If you may, Chairman, perhaps stand and wave. You may have a seat. Because of the program, yes, indeed, all board members from the National Housing Corporation, if you may stand and wave, they are our sister organization. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. That is noted. That is noted, Honorable Chairman. That is the Managing Director of the National Housing Corporation, who's also a former employee of the National Construction Authority. Okay, members of staff, National Housing Corporation, stand and wave. I know your chairman is a former politician, so I will allow that. Thank you, Honorable Chairman NHC. I also recognize presidents of various professional organizations, the president of the Architectural Association of Kenya, Architect Florence Nyole, my apologies. Any board members from AAK, if you're present here, kindly just stand and wave. Okay. I also recognize the president of the Institute of Quantity Surveyors of Kenya, QS Mutinda. I do not see any board members, and as such, okay, I see QS Kotut has stood also for a QSK. We must, today's NCA. Any board members from other organizations, kindly, if you may stand. I may not have seen you as I walked in the morning. If you may kindly stand so that I can recognize your presence. At the back, yes, I see 2 board members. Thank you. I have set those protocols accordingly, and I welcome you again. Back to my speech. Research has been and remains pivotal to the gains realized in the past and into the future of the construction industry. The NCA strategic plan is inspired by the long-term development blueprint for the country's Kenya Vision 2030, whose aim is to create a globally competitive and prosperous country with a high quality of life by 2030. Our research activities are aimed at enhancing infrastructure development, which is a key sector in realization of this vision. Our research agenda is aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals with a special emphasis on industry, innovation, infrastructure, sustainable cities, and communities. One of the authority's key functions, as you've heard from the Executive Director, is to undertake or commission research into any matters relating to the construction industry. And as a way of realizing this specific mandate, as has been properly given to us by the National Construction Authority Act of 2011, we launched the National Construction Research Agenda, in short, NACRA, for the period 2014 to 2017. NACRA is a stakeholder-driven process initiated by NCA to identify and prioritize gaps and challenges that may require solutions through research. The setting of research priorities is guided by principles of stakeholder participation, inclusivity, and the need for solutions to the identified priority areas. In 2014, the National Construction Authority commissioned the NACRA 2015 and identified 17 research areas to improve the construction industry. In the review process, the committee set up to review the NACRA 2015 points, found that the National Construction Authority had successfully addressed 15 out of the 17 thematic areas. Honorable Chief Guest, this reflects 88% in terms of the level of success in addressing the 17 thematic areas. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, consecutively, in a biennial basis, that is after every 2 years, we've organized this International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition, ICOS, an international platform to allow individual researchers, research institutions, and universities to present their research outcomes and innovations with the industry players. ICOS is a critical platform which assists the authority and the country at large in the formulation of industry policies, thereby making Kenya a model construction business hub in the region and beyond. Honorable Chief Guest, ICOS is the biggest conference of its kind in this region, which is, of course, as a result of the NACRA agenda of 2014. In our 2020, Honorable Chief Guest, 2020 to 2025 NCA strategic plan, we have prioritized innovative research and business development, which includes carrying out research in the construction industry, dissemination of construction research findings, development of construction industry research findings into innovative initiatives, and provision of advisory services to stakeholders on matters related to the construction industry. The board has conceptualized the Center for Construction Industry Development, the CCID. I will pause my speech there and ladies and gentlemen, before I continue, I'd like to recognize the presence of Honorable Susan Mangeli, PS MSMEs. She's one of our supporters. We've been in various fora with her. Karibu, Honorable PS, my apologies. So, Honorable Chief Guest, the National Construction Authority Board has conceptualized the Center for Construction Industry Development, that is the CCID, at the Konza Metropolis. And the key component of this center includes some components, of course. Number one, construction research and innovation services with the aim of using innovation to improve construction productivity. Number two, construction industry capacity building programs with an aim of strengthening institutional and technical capacity of enhanced construction productivity. Number three, construction industry support programs aimed at institutional capacity for addressing economic and social vulnerabilities faced by industry practitioners. Honorable Chief Guest, we thank you for your support towards CCID. I know there was a small hitch in our plans, but now we are back in the guidance we got through our PPP and the model. So we are back on course, and we thank you again for your support towards achieving this CCID center. Ladies and gentlemen, the resolutions of the previous ICOS and the status of their implementation informed this current theme of this conference, and this is leveraging the potential of MSMEs and technology for resilient and sustainable construction industry. This particular theme speaks to the government economic agenda, which is a bottom-up economic transformation agenda, with priorities in agriculture, MSMEs, affordable housing, digital and creative economy, health as well. And all these areas are critical economic stimuli, or stimulus as it were, activities to create jobs and grow incomes. This particular conference, Honorable Chief Guest, is a key driver to promoting smart contracting to articulate the MSMEs issues, since they serve as a significant pillar for economic growth. We also look at driving climate adaptation in construction, to discuss automation in the construction industry through case adoption of AI, and significantly, of course, addressing issues of equality or equity, diversity and inclusion in the construction industry. Honorable Chief Guest, we also must, and this is to all attendees, we must prioritize the National Building Code 2024 and take advantage of the diverse experiences across the globe in order to drive implementation strategy. Our presence in the coastal city of Mombasa provides a practical assessment of the blue economy and its contribution in the national development and innovative marine environment. Of course, we have discussions around this particular area, and this will be in the panel, of course, which is a side event on blue economy and marine structures. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chief Guest, as we officially launch the beginning of this conference, I wish you all a fruitful discussion, engagement, and networking as we take the industry towards a forward trajectory through the research and dissemination. With those few remarks, Honorable Chief Guest, allow me to welcome His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Mombasa County, of course, so that we are properly welcomed, because he's going to be the one responsible for our well-being in this county. And after that, I will be back to give way to also welcome our Principal Secretary, Public Works. I used to work in this county, so I recognize Your Excellency's presence very well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome His Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Mombasa County, Honorable Francis Thoya. Thank you.
The Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Urban Development and Housing, Honorable Alice Wahome. I'll adopt all the protocols, because I know there are quite a number of people here I have to recognize. So please receive warm greetings from His Excellency, the Governor, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, who unfortunately could not be here with us today due to prior office commitments. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the beautiful port city of Mombasa for the 5th edition of the International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition. This year's conference theme, leveraging the potential of micro, small and medium enterprises and technology for a resilient and sustainable construction industry, reflects the dynamics of our national construction landscape. Indeed, the role of construction industry in the county of Mombasa cannot be overstated, given it is the 3rd highest contributor to our gross county product, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. At the same time, micro SMEs form the backbone of our local economy by providing employment to a majority of our citizens. These two sectors are, however, impacted by a growing threat of climate change, the use of outdated technology, and social disruption in the wake of global challenge, case in point, the COVID-19 pandemic. This conference comes at an opportune moment when the construction industry and micro SMEs can benefit from modern day, resilient and sustainable practices to achieve their shared aspirations. We owe it to the citizens of Kenya to come up with robust and innovative ways of attaining this through technology. In this regard, the Mombasa County government has embraced cutting-edge technological solutions to lasting problems. The county has fully digitized construction permit application, commonly known as EDAMS, clearly demonstrating what is possible when you leverage the potential of technology to strengthen government service delivery. Additionally, the County of Mombasa has embraced green technologies such as smart electrical meters in a bid to advance green building certification in some of its facilities as part of our climate action policy. In the past 1 year, the city of Mombasa has witnessed its fair share of climate change impact, such as the recent floods which affected most part of the city and damaged our infrastructure. Through geospatial technologies, the County of Mombasa, in collaboration with GIZ, has formulated a flood risk map which advocates for the adoption of climate smart construction practices within the county. The county is in the process of operationalizing a GIS laboratory and a smart city surveillance system that will revolutionize service delivery in the county. Going forward, we are seeking to integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning in response to the challenges that we are experiencing in the past, especially within the construction industry. This will include the adoption of drones and CCTV to enforce development control, as well as real-time inspection of damaged infrastructure. Once again, this conference presents a good opportunity for the participants to network and learn from each other about the various technologies and opportunities that are available within the construction sector. The county is eager to pick up valuable lessons that will come out of this meeting with a view to develop meaningful partnerships to better leverage the construction industry and micro and SMEs towards a sustainable future. As I wind up, I want to ask participants to find time to visit key attraction sites in the city of Mombasa, aware that this week we are commemorating and celebrating the World Tourism Week. Asanteni sana, and God bless you.
Honorable Chief Guest, ladies and gentlemen, I still observe the protocols that I set. At this juncture, I wish to welcome our Honorable Principal Secretary, Public Works, Honorable Joel Arumonyang, to give his remarks. And he will also be the one in charge of setting the protocol that will lead us to the final remarks from our Honorable Cabinet Secretary. Thank you. Kindly let us clap for the Deputy Governor as he exited, and I also welcome PS Arumonyang. Thank you.
The Chief Guest, Honorable Alice Wahome, the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, my colleague PS Susan Mangeni, who is the PS of MSMEs, the PS responsible for all LAS in the Republic of Kenya, the Deputy Governor for Mombasa, Francis Toya, Senator Zige, the Vice Chair of the National Construction Authority, Mercy Okiru, the board and the board members of NCA and other board members of other parastatals, the Executive Director, National Construction Authority, Engineer Maurice Akech, and all other CEOs present, the President of the Association of Architectural Association of Kenya, Florence Nyole, and the President of IQSK, Brother Mutinda, the leadership of the various associations, our partners, distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the delegates led by our chief guest. It's an opportunity for all the people in the construction industry. This 5th conference is happening under the 5th administration, and we are blessed to have the chief guest and also my colleague. We are told the other agenda has been disadvantaged for long, and we are happy you are here. And a round of applause for them. Let me take this opportunity to recognize the county commissioner, if he is here. Appreciated. Then let me take this opportunity to request the Senator Asige to come forward and deliver her speech. Na tumkaribishe
I'm greatly humbled to have been invited to this conference, so I thank you greatly, Waziri, and the team from the National Construction Authority. Thank you so much. All protocols observed. I'm sure many are wondering, why do we have a senator addressing us today? And a disabled senator at that. Well, first of all, it's because I am a resident of Mombasa County. I think that's relevant. I was born and raised here, so karibuni kwetu, as ably said by my deputy governor. And secondly, I'm here because of my expertise as an inclusive mobility and transport practitioner. I wish to start, Honorable Waziri, with a quick anecdote. There are two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim along for a bit. Then eventually, one of them looks over at the other and says, "What the hell is water?" An American writer, David Foster Wallace, used this story to illustrate how the most obvious and important parts of our existence are too often the last to be recognized or appreciated. And I agree. For me, the water in this story is analogous to dignity, independence, rights and freedoms, and equitable access to all, no matter their ability or disability. And the young fish, well, they are me and approximately 8.8 million Kenyans who identify with some form of disability. And yes, I'm one of those who dispute the current KNBS statistics that say we are only about 900,000 in the country, and I will explain why later in my address. Let's not only think about traditional disabilities like wheelchair users, the deaf, and the blind, as we often do. There are dozens upon dozens of disabilities the ordinary practitioner here today has never been educated about. And those are the ones the sector sometimes fails to cater for in development. One good example is intersectionality, the juncture between two or more identities in one person, like myself. I am a woman, I am a youth, and I'm a person with disability. And studies show that there is no group further behind than young Black women and girls with disabilities in Africa, because we carry multiple burdens of discrimination. We are 4 times more likely to suffer GBV, 3 times more likely to lack healthcare, 3 times more likely to be illiterate, 2 times less likely to be employed, and 2 times less likely to use the internet. We are disproportionately uneducated, unemployed, exploited, impoverished, abused, and our acute vulnerabilities are unfortunately not prioritized in the access or safety of the built environment around us. These are our odds as Black Kenyan women, CS, and I personally did not want to end up there. Many of you probably do not know that I wasn't born blind. As a young teenager, my eyesight began to steadily decline from a progressive eye condition called glaucoma, through which I acquired my disability. I now live as a visually impaired person, but personally prefer the acronym VIP. I had to start again, Honorable CS, to accept, to adapt, to unlearn, to relearn how to live life. And disability has proven to me time and time again that it's not the white cane or the wheelchair, not the hearing aid or prosthetic that is the barrier. The inaccessible environment around us is the problem. To understand disability, simply remember this equation. Impairment plus barrier equals disability. An impairment put on top of a barrier is what creates a disability. If, for example, we were in pitch darkness in this room, that would be your barrier to seeing and create you as a person with disability, isn't it? And I would be the able-bodied one because I could still read in the dark. Buildings, streets, products, services, and technologies are made inaccessible to us every single day all around the country, plummeting our chances at a dignified life because our legislation and the whole construction value chain does not put universal design first. Universal design is defined as the design of any building, street, space, technology, product, or service that can be accessed, understood, and used by the widest extent of people possible, no matter their age, their size, their ability, or their disability. Creating an inclusive Kenya through implementing universal design standards is not just about buildings and streets, however. It's absolutely connected to our self-efficacy, our dignity, our independence, safety, confidence, equity, and inclusion of persons with disabilities. In 2024, Waziri, Kenya's built environment that everyone in this room is involved in, unfortunately, promotes ableism. As practitioners involved in one way or the other in the construction value chain as we speak, is supporting some form of ableism. What is ableism? Ableism is an attitude, a mindset that presumes that being non-disabled is the default. It's the norm. And ableism sees disability as inferior, something to overcome or be fixed because we're sick. Ableism also sees disability as something that can be dealt with at the end of a project, that can be cured by just putting up a ramp, right? Wrong. When we fail to adopt universal design standards in our streets and our buildings, that's ableism. When we cut corners to save time and money on materials or construction or maintenance, that's ableism. When we don't undertake regular accessibility audits of the built environment around us to ensure compliance, that's ableism. When we don't align our construction projects to the Persons with Disabilities Act in our respective departments, somehow, that's ableism. Building footbridges and narrow, less than 2 meter wide walkways for pedestrians, that's also ableism. Instinctively focusing on the fully talking, fully seeing, fully walking, fully understanding and perceiving citizen is ableism. Prioritizing our urban planning for high-speed private cars and ignoring safe bus stops, tactile paving, sonic traffic lights with audio and visual, time-sensitive and rollable functions is also ableism. Beautification over accessibility is ableism. And trust me, there are many a time I've walked in the streets of any county and I've run into big flower pots in the middle of the pavement, and I wonder, what's more important, beautification or my safety? Assuming that PWDs do not want or need access to arts and culture, to sports and recreation, to sights and sounds, trees, nature and wildlife, that is ableism, ladies and gentlemen. And excluding us from designing and testing phases, that is also ableism. Accessibility and inclusion is not a one and done, however, Honorable CS. Even if all of these things were turned around by morning, realizing sustainable accessibility for every Kenyan requires a collaborative ecosystem. First, we need a mindset shift, because it's said that before we can build metal ramps, we must build mental ramps, where the sector dedicates itself to listening and understanding our needs as 8.8 million persons with disabilities in Kenya. Next, we need to start talking to each other, as we're doing today, technocrats and practitioners talking to PWDs to better understand what universal design will look for us in Kenya. It will need talking to policymakers, talking to private and public sector. And of course, we know that standards, manuals, principles, policies are nothing without being properly implemented. They often remain a polite suggestion. That means ministerial and even presidential buy-in to universal design and its importance in our country moving forward. Statistics show that countries lose up to 7% of their annual GDP from a lack of inclusion. Did you know that, Honorable CS? 7% of our national GDP is being lost because our streets and buildings are not universally designed. In my role as a senator, I am legislating for the disabled, educating the non-disabled, empowering inclusion champions, and working tirelessly to influence infrastructure and transport sector policies in Kenya, including currently drafting amendments to the National Construction Authority Act. In case you want to know, I'm giving you a quick tip on what's happening in Parliament. And I hope that I will get your support when that is debated soon. I also am a published researcher of a document which I hope to present tomorrow. It's called the Road Note 21, which is about enhancing the mobility of persons with disabilities. And it was sponsored and commissioned by the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office in the UK, as well as the High Volume Transport organization. In closing, I know what it's like to be invisible, to be lost in statistics, life has really kicked me down. Part of it has been a discriminatory society, a discouraged spirit, but majority of it has been in the hands of folks who are responsible for design, development, delivery, and decision-making of the built environment. And the disability fraternity is so happy to have heard me coming here to speak, because it means that you are finally giving us a seat at the table. And I beseech you to not remain a construction sector, but become an inclusive construction sector. Not just for me, because I'm talking in front of you, but for more than 8.8 million Kenyans, and more who are yet to come in the future. Honorable CS, I thank you.
Let us give a round of applause. Continue. Thank you very much. She has raised issues touching on PWDs, and we are happy that our new code, our National Building Code 2024, is aligned to what she said, and also the amendment of the NCA Act through the leadership of the CS is in the offing. So I want to appreciate her sentiments. ICOS is the National Construction Authority's premier event that has been held consecutively from 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2022. This year's event, which is the 5th International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition, is themed Leveraging the Potential of MSMEs